Today is a new opportunity to accomplish your incredible. So let's wake up each day with a fresh mindset necessary for you to win. I welcome you to Rise and Shine. Morning motivation for the girl boss with author, speaker, and founder of the Prestige Society, Nicole Doss. Let's jumpstart your morning now. Good morning, good morning, good morning, and rise and shine. I'm so sorry as I move and get comfortable here. I don't want to cause a whole bunch of sound and feedback on the microphone, but I know it's been a while, a few days, but there's been some awesome things happening in the midst, so I'm so sorry, but I'm back today and we'll have a word for you tomorrow. So I want to make sure that you are waking up today with positive energy, waking up today knowing that you have another opportunity to live your life on purpose and also another opportunity to bless others through your brand. Good morning, good morning, good morning. So let's talk a little bit about what our word for today is going to be. And that word is compete. That's right. That word is compete. Now, I want you to know that for the most part, when I use words, I do not use words in the negative sense, meaning do not do something. So do not do, and then the word that I post, right? That's our topic of the day. When I share a word, it's usually used in the positive aspect, meaning this is something that I expect you to do. And today is no different. Compete. Compete is the action we will take today. Compete is the present action we are going to explore today. Compete is going to be the basis and foundation of the challenge that you'll have to do today. So first, let's just break this thing down listen, millennials is usually my targeted demographic, but I do know that when we look at certain attributes of a millennial, competition is something that I guess has been dwindled down over the years. When I think of something as simple as even competition, I used to dance in national competitions from the age of, I want to say 6 years old, up into high school age. And then I was on a nationally competitive dance team at Rutgers University my freshman and sophomore year. So like competing and preparing for competition and having to audition for spots are something that I'm very, very comfortable with. So when we fast forward in the competing world, when you compete in dance, there was no like recreational dance teams that were in the competition. If you competed in a dance, you were competing because you had the ability, you had the skill, you had everything that you needed to get on the stage and to be judged by a panel of judges amongst your peers. And then I fast forward to adulthood, and that's no longer the case, right? So we now have recreation competition teams, and maybe the girls aren't as advanced, but it gives them an opportunity to go on the stage. And in the 80s, I gotta tell you, Blake, if you just wanted to get on the stage and dance, that was saved for the end of the year dance recital. But if you were ready to compete, then you would do things and join certain national competitions. So I say that because I then look at how we currently look at competition today and how we view competition and how we operate when it comes to competition. And I got to tell you, when we start looking at competition is supposed to be a healthy thing naturally. It's supposed to be what motivates you to become a better version of yourself. It's not about comparison or being envious or being jealous of, but it's about, seeing what's out there, which is ultimately named your competition, and seeing how they operate in the marketplace, and then seeing, what are some things that I can do that will allow me to be a unique selling proposition or a unique identifier or a unique differentiator in the market so that my customers can then see me. Competition is supposed to be healthy. I'll say that one more time for people in the back. Competition is supposed to be healthy. what happens and what has happened is that competition has become this very negative thing. It has been looked at as something that is not healthy. It has become this thing that has really brought out into people negative emotions on both sides, whether you are viewing your competition or if you are the person who's the competitor. Either you now are competing in ways that bring about really negative attributes in yourself, or those who are looking at the competition begin to feel these negative feelings about where they are, and so therefore it brings about a lot of catabolic energy, and that catabolic energy is negative energy, it's toxic energy, it is energy that can cause illness, it's energy that can cause sickness, it's energy that can really stop creativity, it can stop innovation. And so really, competition has really gotten away from being this really healthy thing that allows you to use a lens to see where you are today amongst your peers and really begin to put forth some effort in creating some distance between you and your competition in a way that allows you to set yourself apart from the rest. And so what I want us to do today is I want us to look at competition yet with another lens, because it just in a one-day challenge is too hard to deprogram years of how you are wired. Just in one day of us doing a challenge together on a podcast episode, it's too much for us to really begin to tap into all of the deep-rooted gremlins that you may have that cause these negative feelings. And there's too many triggers in society that will cause that will not help in some of the rewiring. So what do I mean by that? Just scroll your timeline. Just scroll your timeline, your social media, and I'm sure whatever insecurities you have in life about where you are in life, all of those things will be triggered just by scrolling your timeline and seeing what others are doing, whether it's marriage, whether it's kids, whether it's their business. Comparison becomes what we're doing and not competition. And I think it's the comparison game that is toxic. It's the comparison game that really puts us in a space. So I know for those of you who really do not like to think of the word competition, I don't know. I think if you've been an athlete, I think if you had to compete for a number one spot in your life, you view competition probably in the manner or within the lens that I view competition. But if you've never really had to do that in high school or in college, if you kind of just were part of like clubs that really did not require there to be a competition of skill, if you were someone who really didn't compete for upward movement in the organization, if it was just kind of given to you or if you just didn't care for it, then this is something that may make you feel uncomfortable or just may turn you off altogether. So what I'm going to ask that you do is just stick with me for a minute so that I can get you to understand how I want you to look at the word compete today. All right? Thank you, I thank you, and I appreciate you for biting through this. How do I know? Because sometimes when I hear certain podcasts and it's around a topic that I absolutely do not agree with, I really struggle with listening to the message. So I promise you, this is getting ready to turn around for you very quickly. But I at least had to introduce to you a different way for you to look at competition because of the fact that I too struggle with my current view or what has been my current view with competition, because it took a lot of work for me to go back to what I used to and how I used to view competition. So let's just, go into girl boss mode and talk about what competition looks for us today. So competition does start to bring about really bad feelings around, well, why is someone else as successful as I am? Or why is it that I can't experience this level of success, or why am I not here? Why does this person have this many clients and I don't? Why does someone have this opportunity to speak at this event and I don't? Why does this person have this many clients or have an office and I don't? Why does this person have a brick and mortar store and I don't? Here's the deal that I need you to understand first and foremost. Like, I need you not only to understand it, but I need you to say this to yourself on a regular basis. I need you to understand this when you take workshops that promise you things, when you take challenges that promise you things. Your journey is your journey. It is unique to you. You have been wonderfully and fearfully made and designed and created and molded by the Creator Himself, God Almighty, the Alpha and the Omega. Which means that you have not been duplicated, replicated, you have not been copied, you have not been carbon copied, you have not been, you're not a cookie cutter of any other person's success or any other person's journey. So that even means for a lot of these influencers out there like myself who have these workshops that promise, oh, I'm going to show you how to make 7 figures. Oh, I'm going to show you how to make 6 figures. Be very wary of those promises. Be very wary of those false prophets. And I'm going to tell you why. Because at the end of the day, what it took for them to become millionaires, even if they are millionaires, I'm not saying look at them like they're not being truthful of their success. Yes, they probably have made those particular figures. But the journey that it took for them to get there is not a promissory note for you in order for you to get to that success. That's not how it works. Now, what I want you to do when you take those classes is say, I'm ready to learn some new skill sets from a person who made this amount of money. That's a different perspective because you go in with the mindset to learn, to retain the knowledge, and then to apply in order for you to be able to then go on your particular journey to experience your success. I get very hot and bothered when I see people put, oh, I'm going to teach you how to make 6 figures in 6 months. But you're not. You're not. You're not. You're going to show me how you made 6 figures in 6 months. And I am grateful for all of these gems you are about to drop on me. But I guarantee you that there are a large number of people who have taken that class and who have not seen however many figures, 7 figures in 7 months, become a millionaire in one year. And it's because God did not create us in a way to be replicated. Our journey is our journey for a reason. We're supposed to go through a certain series of tests and trials to exercise muscles so that we can step into the purpose that He has so uniquely created for us. So take those classes going into it knowing you're learning a new skill, but it's not a promissory note, right? It's not saying you will have this level of success by this time. That's not how we're designed to be. And for those of you who have already taken those classes and you haven't experienced that type of success for X amount of time that has been promised to you in those classes, this is just an example or a reason as to why you haven't. It's not you because you're a failure. Maybe it is you because you haven't executed skill sets that you were supposed to learn, retain, and then apply to your business. But for the most part, it's because that's not the journey that God has in store for you. He wants you to learn these things. That's why He's probably placed these people in your presence. But there's a whole nother journey that's been created for you, and you have to go through it for a reason. So go through with your eyes completely open. Be really awake to all that He has in store for you, and then apply those lessons as you go so that you can create your own testimony, your own workshop, and your own platform to teach others what you've learned along the way so that you can speak to others and reach others in a way that they couldn't even imagine. It's all about blessing people and paying it forward. All right, now that I got off of that soapbox, let's get into competition. So, today is the day that I want you to compete in a way that allows you to play 2 roles. So that's right, 1 person, 2 roles. You will be the competitor and you will be the competition. So what do I mean by that? So today we're looking at competition. We're going to be doing about 4 things as we're looking at competition. And in that space, what we'll be doing is we will focus on how you compete with your brand in a way that's going to still allow you to set yourself apart from the rest. It is going to allow you to move into a space of becoming a high performance company. It's going to cause you to look at your processes a lot differently. It's going to stretch you to become more organized. It's really going to impact you in a different way. So with that, are you ready for your steps of how you're going to compete with yourself? I just want you to know, though, I'm trying to think about like how the heck did I get into that tangent about like looking at others and all that stuff. And I don't even know how I got on that tangent, but I hope it was a word that resonates with others. I hope it was a word that helps someone. And if not, I so apologize for the tangent as we get right into how you're going to compete with yourself today. So the first thing I want you to do is I want you to look at your performance from the previous year. There's a number of ways that you can do this. One, you can do this by looking at your sales goals. If you have not captured how many sales you have done over the year, I'm going to ask that you get a system. If you have it on like a website, Shopify or something, there should be reports you're able to export on a certain date range of your sales. So you can look at Jan 1 of 2018 to December 31st of 2018, and that'll give you a snapshot. If you want to just do a month-to-month reflection, what I would suggest that you do first is look at what your sales were in January through February of 2018 and look at what those sales have been from January through where you are today, 2019. What this does is shows you your performance. It shows you how many customers that you had, how many sales did you have, how many different streams were you able to work out. So whether it was memberships, subscriptions, or if it was transactional items like just a purchase of one product. It shows if you had repeat customers. It shows, and then it shows you now what's the buying tendency or behavior of your same customer in this year. So why do you want to do that? Because ultimately, you either in this new year have completely slumped or have stayed the same or are in complete beast mode. And wherever you find that you are, you need a target to move you forward. What do I mean by that? If you're in beast mode, you will burn out very quickly if you do not have a target that you work towards. Because what you'll find is that you are doing multiple tactical activities that yield little results, but not much. And what will end up happening is that in your quest to go in beast mode, you will finally at some point say, I have done so much. I feel so exhausted, but yet I feel so tired. I feel, and it seems as if I haven't really yielded the results that I desired. And then you're going to sit somewhere around Q3 and Q4, second guessing your efforts, second guessing what you're doing, and then wondering what the heck, should you move forward in 2020? For those of you who are in stagnant mode, which means you haven't moved forward, you're not in beast mode, and you're not quite in a slump, but you're just kind of doing status quo, right? It's just business as usual. Well, of course, you want to have a better performance year this year than you did last year. I mean, that's the point of every business or company that's in business. They want to have a better operational year, a better fiscal year, a better financial year, a better performance year than that previous year. I have yet worked for a company where I've sat in a town hall meeting with the CEO and where he has said, we made $5 billion last year. This year, guys, let's go ahead and aim for $2 billion. And nor have I sat in a meeting where those numbers have gone from one to a much, one high number to a much lower or a lesser number, but nor did the team go wild. No one said, yeah, let's go lower. Woo! Like, what? Less performance means less pay for employees, in case you don't know. If your company is not high performing, then your bonuses are impacted. So it's always a goal. If you work for a Fortune 500 company that is a publicly traded company, that also means less shares or dividends that you get as a stakeholder in the company. So here's the deal, my small business owners. It's the same for you. You don't want a lower or a lesser performance year. You don't want to have the same financial year that you had the year before. Think about your small business as, its internship years. I know people call it their infancy years, but let's call it its internship years. So maybe you're not a publicly traded company, and maybe you never want to be a publicly traded company because you don't want to be thrown out of your position like Steve Jobs was out of Macintosh. But maybe you do want to be able to have high performance employees at some time where you're able to give really great bonuses and commissions, or bonuses and other, financial incentives to help the business move forward. And whatever that case may be, you're going to have to be a high performance team or a high performance company. And if you have no idea what that means today, how do you work towards that tomorrow? So really having those numbers to see where were you last year, where are you this year, is really going to place you in a space where you are able to then say, this is the growth that is required for me. I'll say it again. This is how you're able to say, this is the growth that is required for me. And you know what that causes you to do? It's going to require you to be a competitor to yourself. You're going to work them numbers so that you can do better than what you did last year. You're going to work your clientele list so that you're better than what you were last year with your number of clientele. You're going to implement different standard operating procedures. You're going to implement and use and leverage different tools that are going to give you the time efficiency so that you can put your time towards other things that you weren't able to do last year. You're going to understand the importance of looking at things in quarters. Quarter one, we're going to focus on this. Quarter two, we're going to focus on that. Why? Because if you put everything in one quarter, if you try to do everything at one time, you are not going to be successful. That whole phrase of, I can't think of what it is. Oh, why can't I think of it? Because I'm trying to say it on top of my head. Jack of all trades, master of none. That's not just a saying. It is an actual thing. I remember working for American Water, and that became like kind of the ideology of our department at the time, where my director was like, listen, guys, we can't be great at all things like year one, because it was the year that we were transitioning into a new business unit. And we had all these different desires that we wanted to do, but we realized that we had to put very focused energy, crystallized, focused energy into very specific efforts in order for us to see results. And then once we were able to tackle that, we were able to then use that as a way to champion our success with other groups that were in it with us. And then we were able to tackle on the next, because now we were able to substantiate things that we were trying to standardize and put into place. It's the same thing with your small business. You need to focus on this thing first. You cannot be a jack of all trades, because you will end up being a master of none. All right? Okay, so I want you to look at your previous years as far as performance. I want you to see where you need to grow, and I really need you to work on that. So before you go into working on those things, I want you to do an analysis on, are the areas that you're focused on, are they in alignment with the core vision and mission of your brand today? So what do I mean by that? If I look back at January, I think I still had a few graphic design and a few website clients that I was working with at the time. And so definitely the amount of money that came in January would definitely look a lot higher than the amount of money that came in this January. And I can't go and say, oh, well, that means I'm going to now go back and do websites and graphic design again, because that's not in alignment with the core vision and mission with the Prestige Society, and in fact is the reason why I stopped doing those services and didn't archive. I just deleted that webpage altogether. So with that being said, I really want you guys to think about, before you just jump in to say, oh, well, I need to do this, I want you to think about, is it aligned with your vision and mission of your brand? If it's not, then you need to think about, what do you currently have implemented that you can work on that will help you in that space? So although I'm not going to be able to sell the service of doing graphic designs, I can still sell the service of our membership. I can still sell publications. I can still sell apparel. I can still sell, there's just are planners. I can still sell coaching services. So like there's all these things I can sell in place of graphic design and website. It was just easier to sell websites because everyone needs a website. But I did not like doing it. So we aren't going back there. So that's the one thing I want you, well, the second thing I want you guys to do as you're looking back at your performance, because of course, what's going to lead us to number 3 is that once you go ahead and you've identified those things, I want you to go ahead and put those things in implementation. I want you to go and start putting those things into work. But I want you to ask yourself, what is holding you back? So if you know there's certain things that you need to do, if you're going to be in competition with yourself, all this competition means that you're going to motivate yourself to move forward, motivate yourself to think differently, motivate yourself to do and perform higher than what you've done the previous years. Ask yourself, why are you not doing that already? What's holding you back? Is it that you just haven't thought in that business sense to look at previous years? Is it that you kind of don't want to look at the numbers from the previous year? Is it that you just want to be focused on the go, 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 that you don't think that what we call business intelligence will give you the data necessary in order for you to know what targets you should have for this year? Whatever is holding you back. I mean, and I'm really being, I think, facetious in saying those are the reasons. Let's just be honest. A lot of it is we don't want to know the numbers. We don't want to know that we really only made $400 with our business last year, or that we only made $4,000 with our business last year. A lot of us don't want to know that we did not have an increase at all in the amount of clients that we had from this year to that last year, even if we're constantly in this revolving door of getting new clients. The number of clients are probably still the same, meaning you don't have a lot of repeat business. And if you don't have a lot of repeat business, you have to ask yourself why. So really figure out what is holding you back. It could be the way you conduct business. It could be the way that you deal with people. It could be the fact that you just don't know what to do next. Whatever the case may be, I want you to identify it and write it down. You have to get to the root, because if you just start going into go mode without getting to the root of the problem, you literally are putting a band-aid on the solution or the band-aid on the issue, which means it will come back again, which means you will still go into woe is me, you will still feel like you're not adequate enough, or you'll go into beast mode and you'll burn the candle at both ends, feeling completely exhausted and drained and not having enough energy to move the business forward, which means you're not able to be used in your fullest capacity to operate your business in your divine purpose. Like, come on. That's what it's really all about, right? So let's be absolutely intelligent. And when I say intelligent, I don't mean like smart, like, are you a nerd and smart and have the intelligence? I mean in the way that's required of leaders. So if you haven't heard of the term business intelligence, please do some Google searches on it, read some books on business intelligence. It really will help you in how you look at data and how you move forward with your business. If you haven't heard of the word emotional intelligence or emotional quotient, it is a competency that is necessary for leaders, especially those who are executives. If you are a business owner, you are a CEO. If you are a CEO, you are a chief executive officer. And if you are a chief executive officer, you are in fact an executive, which means emotional intelligence should be one of your highest skills that you exude as that officer in your company. All right, guys? So really get to that space where you're able to exercise the intelligence necessary for you to be able to compete wisely with yourself. Don't just do a whole bunch of tactical activities that don't yield you any results. Like, let's do things that are going to allow you to work smarter but not harder. And that is used in the sense of like being smart. Like use your brain, girl boss. Okay? Don't start running around in circles, sacrificing family time and boo time and your self-care time because you're trying to run a business that's not based on anything strategic. Like, we got to get smart, right? All right. So the last thing is what I always say. I need you to work. I know that was so corny, right? But it's true. I need you to put in that work. Much is the work required. So you can't just do all this in conception and think that there's not going to be, execution of things required. Once you have that strategy, then you go into the tactical side and you work it. All right? Just do it. You already identified what's holding you back. So now that you put that to bed, let's go ahead and do the work required. so that you can start to see all of the awesome things that you need to be able to accomplish with your brand. So guys, just to take it back, one, I want you to look at previous years so that you can really see what your performance was. You don't have to do a full year, do months. You can do January of the last year to this current date of last year to January 1 of this year to today's current date, just so that you can view differences in your performance so that you can see where you need to go. Secondly, you need to make sure that whatever it is that made up that number from last year, those things were services or things that are in alignment with the vision and mission of the company that you have today. Thirdly, I want you to be able to identify the things that are holding you back from being able to just do these things already. Like, why have you not done this already? Why have you not looked at the previous years already? Why are you not just moving in the right space? So identify those things that are holding you back. And lastly, I need you to just go ahead and do it. So if you've identified that what held you back is you don't know what to do next, figure out who do you get in contact with so you know what to do next. All right? And just get to work. All right, ladies, I hope this message has reached you and blessed your businesses in some awesome and phenomenal way. Have an awesome, wonderful, and blessed day. Bye, guys.